Assalamu alaikum, all of you. I wish you still listening to the videos and still continue with what I have explained to you last time. I said some information about the phonological or suprasegmental phonemes, and we mentioned something else related to stress and intonation. I will explain another point, or not explain, I will post to you a video from phonetics course. But today let's continue the class in the week 10 related to what is syntax. So you know, like before fasting month or Ramadan, still another 3 weeks or 2 weeks at least. That's why we have to continue the most difficult part after the phonetics and phonology. So after phonetics, which consider the most difficult part in the whole course and the hardest issue that all students commit or face and encounter so many troubles in understanding what's going on with the symbols in phonetics. But in syntax, the case is about how they memorize the point of part of a speech and syntactic structures. So the first view here, we can see what is syntax. Syntax, the part of linguistics that studies sentence structure. So sentence structure, it means we have some issues here like word order. I want these books, not want these books. So the word order is very important for syntax to understand that the sentences start with subject, verb, object. So this is what we could recognize from many English styles of writing. And second, agreement, subject and verb, determiner and noun. And here he wants this book, he won this book, something wrong in the verb and subject agreements. I want these books and I want this book. So here is about the agreement. This sentence is accurate and correct. This sentence is also correct. And then how many complements, which prepositions and forms. So I give Mary a book, I see Mary a book. So here the word that I choose is making the difference and the point. And here what modifies what? We need more intelligent leaders. So more of intelligent leaders means we are looking for more leaders. Not some of them, they will have like kind of a structure like more intelligent, not leaders, because we have a lot of leaders. Leaders that are more intelligent. That's the point of this sentence. Okay, so syntax is not about the meaning. So it's about the grammatical sequence and grammatical order. And here we have syntax form, we have symphonies, synonym, synthesis, taxonomy, tactics. So let's look for the second part, which is considered about parts of a speech. So let's look at part of a speech number 2 here. Words in a language behave differently from each other, but not each word is entirely different. Okay, and here note that there is a certain amount of arbitrariness in any such classification. So for example, should my, so the word here my, be classified as pronoun or determiner? Should the numerals, participles or auxiliary verb be separate? So let's look at the case here. We have here open versus or vs closed. So open class, like what? The main part of speech: noun, verbs, adjective, adverbs. So this is very general. We can notice and recognize it from all sentences that it should have that open clauses. So closed clause, it means something very specific, like determiners, pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions. Open clauses. So let's start with the point that we have to define. Like here we have morphology. We talked before morphology, and we talk about the word or how we formulate the word, how we can create new words. So morphology, most nouns from or form plurals. It means a lot of nouns has or have the plural, like cat, cats, house, houses, and we have man, men, sheep. This is another point. Syntax usually has a determiner, like we have something like except names like John. What do you mean by determiner? Like a cat. So here it's a determiner. Many, a determiner. Few, determiner. Several, determiner. So back again and check out what do we mean by determiner, what do we mean by the preposition, and what do we mean by other issues related to clauses. So that's the point. Here we have semantics, name of a person, like we have beauty, anger, aspect, and actions. Number 2, we have verbs. So verbs can be first verb or second and third, like it means we have present tense, past tense, and we have past participle, like walk, walked, and we have also the present participle. So this is the point here that we are looking for, how we can find a lot of forms for the verb. Syntax here can combine with auxiliary. Will, go, have seen. So auxiliary here can be will, can be have, can be should, can be must, and is, are. Can also modify by an adverb, like what? Usually, sleep, read, carefully. So this is another issue related to the verb. Okay, let's continue. We have the point here: adjective, morphology, and the point of adjective and morphology here, we have to understand what do we mean. What do we mean by what? By the forms. So if we look at the forms, we can find comparative and superlative. Cool, cooler, coolest. We have good, better, best. So the case, we need to understand how we can notice and define these words as adjective. That's your own job and your own way of thinking to understand directly what do we mean. And here by ILY, these adverbs structure: sadly, nicely, beautifully. So this is a point that we need to understand the forms. And then tall man, cool day, wonderful trip. So this is with determiner and plus noun, adjective with noun. Okay, adverbs here. We need to understand the following adverbs. We have, let's look at the adverb that we need to understand. Like here, we have adverbs: quickly, soon, morally, today, here, very, before. So it's not always that adverbs has ending, or adverbs should end with ly. So we have soon, we have today, we have here, very, before. Okay, then when we look at the word, like here we have will, we have fast, we have friendly, we have eastward. So this is the word that we have to enroll it or list it under the adverb. And for sure, like we have hundreds and thousands of words under adverb. But why we bring these examples? Because I think some of you will commit mistake, like the word here will not be considered as adverb and the word very. But be careful about your future answers about the structure. Okay, so we have here adverb, like very quickly, quite, soon. Let's continue. We have here a summary for open class. Like we have here open class, and we need to summarize it in a nice way. Like talking about noun, we have house, houses, we have walk, walked, we have big, bigger, biggest, we have adverb like really and will. Typical syntax, so we have the big house, we have would walk, big house, and finally really big house. Typical syntax, this part we are not looking to understand the point of semantics, it will be later on. Now let's move to the second part, which is close classes. We have determiner, we have also articles under determiners, quantifiers, possessives, and also the structure itself. Like here they show like quantifiers, many, any, all, several, and possessives like my, your, his, her, and syntax come before nouns. So that's the point, that we have to understand that these determiners before noun, that's the structure, and maybe before adjective like here, and after adjective it's noun. That's the point. Auxiliary verb, we have will, may, must, shall, would, can, have. So this is the modal verbs, and sometime under the auxiliary verb in syntax. So don't separate will and must, shall, would away from auxiliary verb, so it enlisted. Okay, we have here normal verbs vs auxiliary verbs. What we need to understand, like here needs auxiliary verb, like I don't want it, and directly I don't will it, or I do will come. So this is very wrong. I will not come, this is auxiliary verb, this is the verb that plus the auxiliary do. And agreement, he knows it, and here he will come. Now, no need to think too much about it. Let's continue to pronouns. We have here in the pronoun, like we have something to re-look at it. Pronouns: I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and this is like the 7 pronouns. And then we continue the possessive related to me, him, her, us, them. So keep them in your mind. This is under pronoun, and how we refer to them by pron. So I forget to remember to give you this, like pron is a way for writing it into your tree diagram. Later we will see the tree diagram after this point. So okay, let's move on. We have here a pronoun, possessive, like John likes my house. So possessive, my house. Preposition: in, on, about, with, at, to, of, under. Okay, so we have here syntax: stand before noun phrases. Like what? We have noun phrases. So noun phrases and P. Determiner, it can be like before adjective. Let's look at this one, like we have here on the table, and we have with nice colors. So this is about the structure that we will know later on. Conjunction. Conjunction means what? And, or, but. Conjunction, we can talk about fanboys here. and or but, for, yet, we have nor as well, and we have what? We have the last one, so. And here syntax: noun, noun like women and men, noun, noun, run and walk, as and subject, subject, I will talk and he will. So he and I, it's about subject. So that the first part. Let's look at the next part. Words belong to more lexical categories. So one word can have some part of a speech, like she talks very much, she's giving 3 talks. So it's called I got a cold. So that's a point here about the subject and the verb, and here is about how it's here, like you say it's cold, it's I got a cold. So cold here, it's noun, and it's cold here is adjective. So adjective and noun, different category, lexical category. So okay, let's look at the next part. Here we have to understand that way of what? The abbreviations. So noun phrase, that's mean noun and phrase. So N for noun, P for phrase, DET, this is determiner, N it's noun. Next we have noun phrase, determiner, adjective, noun. We have here also noun phrase, adjective, noun. Here are the examples, like here what? Noisy cats, noisy adjective, cats noun. That's the point, and both of them it's noun phrase. It means the 2 of them noun phrase. And here noun phrase, it comes by determiner, those, adjective, noisy, cats, this is all noun phrase. So this is how we describe the first case of noun phrase. Let's continue. We have here, you can mark optional sub phrases that we need to look at them, like here noun phrase, cats, noisy cats, the cat, those noisy cats, these all under the noun phrase. Let's continue here. Also a phrase structure like this. Noun phrase, we make like one line and then like this. You can see the diagram. This is called tree diagram. We try to understand it in general, not real tree diagram as we realize later, but this is, for example, those noisy cats under noun phrase. And number 4, here we have noun phrase, pronoun like she and you, also under the noun phrase. Describing prepositional phrase. So after we finish from noun phrase, we have to describe the prepositional phrase. So if we want to describe preposition like PP, prepositional or prepositional phrase, here about, this is a preposition, those noisy cats together, 1, 2, 3, it's under noun phrase. So this is called prepositional phrase together, not prepositional noun phrase, prepositional phrase only. So let's move on. Describing the sentences. If we look at the sentences here, we have sentence or subject, noun phrase, or sentence, noun phrase, V. V, it means verb. So noun phrase, Alphonse, noun phrase, because it contains somebody, and slept is about noun, but noun in the past. So we have here noun phrase, verb, noun phrase, like Alphonse, noun phrase, so it's verb, his dog, noun phrase. And here we have noun phrase, verb, noun phrase, prepositional phrase, like Alphonse asked his dog for a pear. So asked, verb, and then we have noun phrase, his dog. For a pear is a prepositional phrase. I wish that you got the point before we start describing another point. We have here the abbreviation, like how we can recognize the abbreviation. This is very important for you to understand the abbreviation. So one more point about abbreviation here, it's about the infinitive phrase. So infinitive here, It's like about what? Like we have here, Alphonse persuaded his dog. So Alphonse, noun phrase, persuaded, verb phrase, or verb, and noun phrase, his dog, to buy some beer. This is infinitive phrase, to buy. This is infinitive. And here we have that in the sentence. It means like the sentence ended after that, like it has another part. So okay, let's look at the phrase structure trees. So that's the tree diagram that we are looking on from the first, or from the beginning. What do we need from syntax? If we look at syntax, we have to understand that the phrases are created from other phrases or words. Sentences is the biggest phrase. Like here we have, the little boy chases his dog. So we understand that this is a sentence, and we have something called surface structure and deep structure. If we look at this sentence, we will say that from the surface structure is a sentence which is regular sentence, but deep structure, it means we have to understand that this sentence has noun phrase, has verb, has noun phrase as well. So that's what we call it if we depict the sentence, how we talk about the surface structure. This is a sentence, the surface is just a sentence, regular, and deep structure when we define the part of a speech in the sentence. That's how we can talk about deep structure. So let's move on to think about something here. We don't want to explain a lot of points. Let's move to another part here when we talk about the diagramming sentences. So here we have something which called the diagramming sentences. Like here we have S sentence, noun phrase, like NP noun, and VP verb phrase, V verb. So that's the first point. More diagramming here, we have like stockbrokers were very happy. So if you look here, noun phrase, stockbrokers were under verb phrase which has verb, and then we have adjective phrase, very happy. Very is from what degree of adverb. So we can put here adverb, but this is another part of description. Adverb, adjective, but it's under the adjective phrase because it's describing them happy, and very, it's helping word. Fine. So here we have another structure, like which one is right? We have here corporate profits rose, corporate profits rose, and here we have corporate profits rose, corporate profit rose. So which part that we can consider it's correct? This is like you need to find the right choice, and the very difficult choice here, like when it comes like very high profits suddenly rose, very high profits suddenly rose, how we restructure the sentence. Okay, we have here one more point related to heads, modifiers, and phrases. We will not talk about them today. We will leave it to the next time to describe them carefully. Fine. Let's move to your own book. In your own book, page number 293, if you open the Study of Language book by George Yule, we have what? Syntactic analysis. So syntactic analysis, we have here to understand the abbreviation that we talk about, the part of a speech. So noun and art, it's article, edge is adjective, V for verb, and we have also adverb, adv, so for adverb. So let's look at that diagram. We can see here noun phrase is John, verb phrase is so, and we have here the big dog noun phrase. Okay, I hope that you still with me. Let's look at the the right examples that we are looking for here, phrase structure rules. So the phrase structure rules, we have to understand the rules, lexical rules. Here we have like the noun phrases. We have here noun, we have here adjective, we have here pronoun, we have here articles. So the structure, how we can define some sentences are ungrammatical. So how we can recognize ungrammatical? So here like the point, if you look at you saw it, John saw the big dog, but not John marry small dog. That's for sure the structure. Grammatically it's maybe has problem, and it looks like has problem, and also semantically also it can't be there. So tree diagram, that's what we defined in the previous explanation. A tree diagram, if you look at the tree diagram, this is like noun phrase with article and noun. So from noun phrase like what? Like a dog, so you can see a dog, so this is article and this is noun. Fine. Verb phrase, it has verb plus maybe noun phrase, so we need to have verb for sure, and the noun phrase we have article like followed the boy. You can look at your book after 292, you can see the examples that given to tree diagrams and understand how it already drawn. You can look at them. Next time we will try to describe better the meaning of each one. I don't need to explain everything within one class because it will be too much for you. Today, back and check out the abbreviations like art, it means article, NP, it means noun phrase, adj, it means adjective, and noun, V, verb, NP, it's noun phrase, pro, it means pronoun. So if you look at them like this, this will be fine. You will remember all the abbreviations. That's great for you. And next time we can talk a little bit about the tree diagram. Thank you very much for your listening. I wish you a great day, and sorry if I speak quite quick, but you can raise question to me as long as you catch me on the email. I will be waiting for you. Thank you again, and see you later.